I'm not quite sure about your question. Might be wondering what my response to that. Do they have resources?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I utilize them. That's that's why I'm here today. I used all the resources that the Insite and the community had to offer, and I smartened my act up pretty quick. And that's why I'm here talking. That's the beauty of the Insite. It has every resource there. I ended up on the IST team with Thomas Care, the IPC, doing the outreach with the Health Contact Center, doing peer work within the Insite, and because they were there to listen and help. So they were my resource center. They're a remarkable resource center. There's plenty of resources in the Insite and in the surrounding area in the Insite that's there to use. But unfortunately, we won't be there for 18,000 people doing injections on the street. And should that happen, I'm really, my concern with the Olympics is if we do shut the doors on that place, there's going to be chaos. It is going to be ultimate chaos. I'm on the street level every day. I go through the alleys. I pick up breaks. I do the, I like to think that with the assist injection team will come up with outreach workers. And I know almost everybody down there, and we all have the same, I mean, I talk to users every day. What are we going to do? We're going to use the alleyways, I guess, because a lot of the homeless, not only are they facing not having the Insite open, what about not having the homes either? It's a double dilemma when you're homeless and a drug addict. Those people are not doing it by choice by any means. A lot of the homes are just not there. There's a lot of homeless women that are addicted, and a lot of lots of homeless young girls and young men, and I'm concerned about the youth. And I'm hoping that the UBC, I'm hoping that you guys can channel some of that interest towards your guys' age and down. That's the individuals I'm really worried about are youth on the streets.
Thank you, Darcy. I just wanted to ask you, Thomas, if you would just give us a percentage of how much of the population inside actually use services.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, our estimates, what we've looked at is, well, I think it's interesting to note that over 8,000 unique individuals have now used Insite, which speaks to its appeal. However, it's only open 18 hours a day. There's only 12 booths for injections, and so our estimates are that it covers between 5 to 10% of all injections occurring in the neighborhood each day. It's also important that people know that we have published some studies looking at barriers to use of the Insite. So things like, has there ever been a time where you wanted to use Insite but didn't, and why? Well, what are the major barriers to Insite? The wait time and the hours of operation and police presence around the site. The reality is that there's a big culture, long-standing culture of public injecting, as Will has talked about in Vancouver, and people walk in there and there's a big lineup. They'll quickly go back to what they've done before Insite opened. Again, we have a small pilot site. We do not have a comprehensive program of supervised injection. The place is overrun. Many working women in particular find that the closing at 4 a.m. doesn't work for them. They finish their work and they have their money and their drugs, and that's when they need a safe place to use, and it's closed. If you go to Insite go by there at 9:45 a.m. in the morning, it's very common to see a lineup there. So it's a small site. If you really want to have a comprehensive program, you could open many more, and I'm sure they'd be very busy.
We still have 2 more speakers with questions, but I know Jenny wants to talk about politics and the Olympics.
Yeah, I just want to address the question in terms of really getting the international community's attention and to see if they will lend us some support to keep the safe site open, and perhaps to even, while we're advocating to expand it. To that end, letters have been sent to the UN, for example, bringing the matter to their attention, asking for them to look at this issue, to put pressure on Canada so that we would actually follow, as Canada is a signator to the UN Convention on Human Rights, so that we could actually respect that right relative to the safe site, for example. Unfortunately, so far we've not had a response. And then also in terms of what is the strategy related to the Olympics around that, has IOC responded? The answer is no. They won't even respond to the issue around homelessness at that very basic level where it's relevant to the Olympics, as it was a commitment also made by all 3 levels of government related to evictions and so on. And so I think right now levels of government's strategy in dealing with the Olympics is basically to sweep the people off the streets, and you see that through the Civil City project with Jeff Plant going around, doing his little thing, and so on. And so, but there's a question to be had on the kind of pressure that we can try to mount on the international community, and thereby bringing support and public pressure on the Canadian government for them to do the right thing.
Thanks, Jillian. Neil Magnuson, co-founder of the Vancouver School of Drug War History, which was right beside the supervised injection site for 3.5 years, closed down 2 weeks ago by the VPD. We had found great success in using cannabis to mitigate the side effects of hard drugs and to use as an exit strategy off of hard drugs. Just a few comments, I'll try to be brief, Jillian. I think this war on drugs is a war on people and their choices. It is seen to be portrayed as a choice between ideology and science and belief. I think it's a bit of a smokescreen. This is a protection racket for corporate drugs. They're using a harm maximization strategy on us, and I think that harm reduction doesn't apply in their world. I just have a question. I'd like to know if they close this down, will we be continuing to do the studies and collect the science so that we can prove in some court of law the harms that they have caused by doing just that? Because harms against people are criminal, and we should be able to bring criminal action against these people. And just one other thing is you asked what we can do, and can we march on Ottawa? This is my 3rd year now going across Canada, and it's called the Freedom Tour. We're a group of people going across Canada talking about these issues, going to Ottawa for Remembrance Day to talk about what freedom is and to talk about harm reduction. Thank you very much.
I'm really glad you asked the question because I actually meant to address it in my talk and I forgot. You may recall that I talked about how we had gone and submitted this proposal to Health Canada to continue the evaluation. It was positively reviewed, then the Health Minister didn't fund it. We turned around and submitted that same proposal to the Canadian Institutes of Health Research and was ranked #1 in the competition and funded. In that proposal, we proposed 2 strategies, knowing that Insite could close this June. We said we will either, in the event that it opens, continue to evaluate its impacts on the health of people who use it, and if it closes, we will continue to evaluate the impact of its closure on the health of people who used to use it. Thereby, we are very committed to studying this issue, and if the Harper government thinks they can close it and sweep it under the carpet, that's not the case. We will demonstrate what we anticipate to be the very severe negative health impacts of a closure of Insite on the people living in the downtown east side. Let's not forget, we're talking about life and death here. We can expect an increase in a return to historical levels of public injecting. We can see a return to historical levels of syringe sharing and perhaps HIV incidents. But most importantly, there will be lives lost to overdose.
Thank you. First, it's more of a comment. Oh, that's not. I'd just like to remind everyone here that the Vancouver Quad Riot, they're having their by-election, so it's a good way to send a message to Ottawa. Watch the 17th, especially for people who are residences here living on campus. You can vote. That's my first announcement. My second question is regards kind of a follow to that question. You were, for Dr. Kerr, you were talking about litigation. Is your organization planning to get a lot of evidence and like sue the Harper government or something under the Charter of Human Rights or something? Or?
No, we're not, but other people are. I believe there's 2 cases going forward right now, one which includes a charter challenge, another which questions the federal government's authority to close the site. As always, as scientists, we're going to be dragged into this. We'll be asked to provide expert testimony and that kind of thing. So we'll certainly be involved, but we won't be responsible for launching it ourselves. I think what's really important, though, is some people who use drugs have come forward and launched a challenge arguing their charter right to health.